Hello and welcome to part 1 of the ESAM webinar series. In this 4-part series, we'll discuss everything ESAM, from the capability of the ESAM Analysis Reporting Service, right through to how you, the processors, can maximize the benefit you get from your monthly ESAM reports by using them as a tool to monitor process control and identify areas for improvement. My name is Alex Howard, and I'm a part of the SARDI research team that performs regular analysis of the national ESAM data to prepare monthly reports for red meat establishments, MLA, and the Department of Agriculture. Today, I'll be walking you through the background and capability of the ESAM reporting service. So how did we end up with ESAM? Well, in 1993, there was a large outbreak of foodborne illness in the United States, which was attributed to undercooked hamburgers served at the fast food chain Jack in the Box. 732 people were affected, with 171 hospitalized, and many left with permanent injuries, and 4 young children died. The bacterium found to cause the infections was E. coli 0157H7, which is a serotype of the Shiga toxin-producing E. coli, or STEX. And while this bacterium had caused illness previously, the size and severity of the outbreak, the involvement of children, and the link with the iconic American hamburger made this outbreak a landmark event in the history of food safety. In the aftermath, although no links were drawn with Australian beef, food safety practices were overhauled, and increased testing of ground beef and strict market access requirements were slapped on Australian exporters. In order to satisfy these market access requirements, AQUIS, which is now the Department of Agriculture and Water Resources, established the E. coli and Salmonella Monitoring Program, ESAM, in 1997. Now, this system was designed to provide objective measurement to substantiate claims of food safety and wholesomeness, and also to provide data for monitoring of process controls. Now, regardless of what ESAM was designed to do, from 1997 through to 2009, it was just used as a passive database. It provided little direct benefit to Australian red meat establishments. In 2009, SARDI, through an MLA project, developed software for carrying out regular analysis of ESAM data. This software was used to provide regular monthly reporting to export establishments, transforming ESAM into an active database that provides product and process hygiene feedback to Australian red meat processors. The ESAM Analysis Reporting Service provides you, individual red meat processors, with value from understanding trends and comparisons with the whole industry. While at an industry level, analysis of national ESAM and 0157 data provides opportunities for learning and further research that will ensure that the quality of Australian red meat remains at the highest standard for years to come. Now, ESAM has evolved and expanded since its introduction, but in its current form, carcasses produced in Australian export abattoirs are routinely swabbed at 3 fixed carcass sites, with different sampling frequencies and different swabbing areas for different sized stock. Testing is performed for TVC, coliforms, E. coli, and Salmonella. Carton meat is also sampled and tested for TVC, coliforms, and E. coli. And E. coli 0157 and Shiga toxin-producing E. coli testing is required for raw ground beef components intended for export to the USA and or Canada. Now, this testing is performed at an N=60 sampling rate. And what this means is that the samples collected must comprise of at least 60 subsamples or small pieces of meat. And those 60 small pieces of meat need to be selected from a minimum of 12 cartons, with a minimum of 5 samples taken from each carton. Now, the ESAM database is huge. It has over 1 million entries. And with this huge database, we can produce prevalence and count summaries for TVC, E. coli, and coliforms, both from carcass and carton data. And we can also produce summaries of prevalence, serotype, and Salmonella, E. coli 0157, and STEC detections. Now, information is collected for different species. So we have our cow bull, steer heifer, calf, lamb, sheep, and goat, skin on and off. And it's also collected for different establishments which have different processes. So we have hot and cold swabbing, inverted or conventional dressing. Now, the massive scope of this database is what allows us to really customize the reporting that we can do. So through the ESAM analysis reporting service, SARDI produces national reports for both MLA and the Department of Agriculture. Now that's in the form of ESAM reports for each species, and E. coli and O157 and STEC reports for beef. And then for export establishments, we produce individual reports for ESAM for each species slaughtered at that establishment, and E. coli, O157 and STECs for beef establishments exclusively. Now, in response to feedback received from establishments, new report types have been added, which include the group reports for companies that own and manage multiple establishments, hot swabbed reports, and shift comparison reports. And the capacity also exists for additional information and statistical analysis to be built into your own ESAM reports. And this can be done on request through SARDI Food Safety and Innovation as part of the ESAM analysis reporting service. And that really is the take-home message here. SARDI Food Safety and Innovation is here to help with your ESAM data and can provide additional information and statistical analysis on request. As we mentioned, in the past, for plants that requested specific changes to their reports, we were able to add group reports, shift reports, and separate hot and cold swabbed results. In addition to this, we have also analysed data from a number of in-house plant investigations, including trials of various chemical decontaminants. We've looked at carcass microeffects of spray chilling. We've conducted longer-term analysis of E. coli data and looked at the microstatus of non-ESAM carcass sites, just to name a few. If you're interested in taking a more detailed look at some of this work, check out the Processor's Guide to Improving Microbial Quality and Shelf Life of Meat, 3rd edition, which is available under publications at the MLA website. And if you're interested at all in trialling a new slaughter floor intervention or process, or even want something specific changed about the format or content of your ESAM reports, please feel free to reach out to us here at SARDI. Now that's going to wrap things up for part 1 of the ESAM webinar series. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight and introduction into the background of ESAM and the role of SARDI in providing your monthly reports and helping you out with any additional analysis that may be of value to you. Now in the next ESAM webinar, we will go through some key microbiological and statistical concepts relating to ESAM reports, including ESAM microorganisms and how they relate to one another and food safety and process hygiene. We'll talk about the different types of micro-testing that is conducted, how the data is handled, analysed and presented. And we'll also talk about how to interpret the different graphs and tables that are used in ESAM reports, making some comments on process control. Thanks for your time today. We'll see you in the next ESAM webinar.